Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to open today's discussion on the future of supply chains, a subject that continues to shape investment, innovation, and industrial growth around the world. In recent years, supply chains have become central to how governments and companies think about competitiveness. The focus is no longer on efficiency, but on building systems that are connected, adaptable, and capable of supporting new technologies and cleaner industries. Canada is part of that global effort. With its stable economy, skilled workforce, and strong industrial base, Canada offers a strategic location for companies looking to serve both North America and international markets. The Niagara region is one example of how this connectivity takes shape. Positioned within the Great Lakes Economic Corridor with access to advanced manufacturing, research institutions, and international trade networks. These are the dynamics at the heart of today's conversation, how regions, industries, and investors work together to create a next generation of supply chains. It's now my privilege to introduce Mr. Bowei Lee, Chairman of LCY Group. Mr. Lee is a global leader in material science and advanced manufacturing. Under his direction, LCY Group has expanded exponentially over the past 2 decades, becoming a world-class enterprise in the materials sector. He is also deeply committed to education and research, supporting graduate programs at leading universities, including Stanford, UCLA, and the National Taiwan University, and building lasting partnerships between academia and industry. Mr. Lee's perspective connects global evolution of supply chains with the regional strategies that support them, a conversation that will help frame the opportunities ahead. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Bowei Lee and the Honorable Pierre Pettigrew. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you so much, Bowei, for traveling to our country and sharing your experience, wisdom, and analysis with us. We're very grateful to you. Much of your experience is very important for Canada at this time, at a time where we're defining our own identity and our own political project. So during the pandemic, we saw the supply chains having some weaknesses and shortcomings, but basically they were quite resilient. What's happening to the supply chain at this time under the current state of the global state, the new geopolitical and economic pressure are having a dent on the supply chain. So what are your thoughts about globalization and global trade?
Well, first of all, Pierre, thank you for inviting me here. I'm very happy to be here in Canada. Our company has a facility in Sarnia, and we are being fully supported by the Canadian community, and Canada is a great place to invest, first of all. I think looking at today's global trade, we have to go back several decades ago when the so-called globalization happened. Globalization has lifted more than 1 billion people out of poverty worldwide, extreme poverty, actually. So it has done a lot of great things. And it has vertical specialization, it has productivity gain, have consumer surplus, low inflation rate, all the good stuff. But after decades of these beneficial effect, I think globalization has changed. It has slowed or has been fragmented because several reasons. It's based on the economic theory of comparative advantages as well as international collaboration. And most importantly, it's based on a free market system. Well, you can see in the last few decades, especially since 2015, you see a lot of backlashes against globalization. Why? Because most of the low-hanging fruits are gone, first of all. Second, we see that the benefits are not evenly distributed. There are many factory closures in the West where other countries have benefited. So we can see the effect of Brexit, Trumpism, the backlashes of the blue collar, for example, in North America. And finally, you see some geopolitics involved in this backlash against globalization. People are weaponized. Some countries are heavily subsidized some of their industry, and it's no longer a free market. At the same time, some of them are weaponized their trade advantages. So this thing has changed completely. And I think 10 years ago, people were talking about friendly supply chain. I think the last 2 or 3 years, some countries are calling for domestic supply chain. Even friendly supply chains is not enough.
So we are moving towards a sort of rule of jungle. Don't you think that I mean, you know, there are not many countries that are like gentlemen as Taiwan is.
Well, speaking of Taiwan, my country, we have 90% of advanced semiconductor manufacturing. Yet in a diplomatically isolated place as Taiwan, we're under a lot of pressure. No one will sign free trade agreement with us, will not give us a fair shake, and because of pressure from our adversary across the strait. But Taiwan government can easily say that if you don't sign a free trade agreement with us, you don't treat us fairly, we can boycott and not supply you the advanced chip. But we don't. We're a small country. We believe in free market. So the rule of jungle is not favorable to us. But today, you look at the United States, for example, they are worried about national security. They want to make sure the rare earth mineral, semiconductor, as well as biotech supply chain to be a domestic supply chain. So we see a big transformation in the globalization and the trade pattern.
Well, I can tell you that if the rule of jungle is not good for Taiwan, it's not good for a mid-power like Canada. Multilateralism and the rule of law is extremely important for a country like Canada. So hopefully there are enough like-minded countries where our interest continues to be in free trade that can identify and do more between our different countries. Now, Bowei, I'd like to move our conversation to the theme of transformation. We've been talking about transformation a lot in the last few days in this forum. But we see vulnerabilities and bottlenecks in the industries. How to balance global expansion with regional self-reliance that more and more countries are sensitive about at this time of great uncertainty?
Well, I think today the world environment has changed. Globalization, some call it the death of globalization. But I don't think so. I think it's a slow globalization or a fragmented globalization. And given that environment, I think we all have to make transformation. We have to adapt. And you see US, for example, emphasizing this domestic supply chain for these three industries. And in fact, if you think more about it, take everything to the extreme. US ought to, or North America ought to look at the supply chain of synthetic rubber. No tank can operate without synthetic rubber. And the US synthetic rubber industry is built mainly in the 1940s. And the newest synthetic rubber plants in the United States were built in 1960s. These are all old grandmas. If there's a war, U.S. will not get any synthetic rubber. You have no tires. So you think about it, if we take it to the extreme, there are more than 3 strategic industries. There are many and many. But let's not take it to the extreme. Let's look at what we could do in today's environment. And we have to adopt. Our company is it's intimately involved in transformation. Our company was founded in 1915 in Taiwan in the business of lumber. I'm sure our Canadian friend here are very familiar with the lumber business. You have lumberjack, cutting tree, very low tech. In the 1950s, my father transformed the company into plywood, slightly higher technology. In 1960, we got involved in making chemical for the plywood. And today, we are in 3 very important sectors. Specialty chemical, specifically specialty synthetic rubber. And number 2, semiconductor use chemical. And number 3, biotech. I would like to highlight that our biotech investment, it's just only the beginning, but we're located in Sarnia. We're making food supplement, health supplement, as well as additive and natural coloring. I think Mr. Secretary Kennedy is banning all synthetic coloring in the next few years. And our company is here to make natural coloring via fermentation. Another product, it's very important in today's world, is we make cleaner for semiconductor chips, for especially the advanced chip, which today we supply to TSMC, Intel, Micron of the world. Our products, one of our important products is very simple, a simple rubbing alcohol. But the purity, or rather the impurity, is 1 part per trillion. Because the chips are so minute, you cannot afford to have any impurity. Today, we're following our customer to set up our plant in Arizona, in the United States. So as a company, we are very familiar with transformation. We have to make transformation every 20 to 30 years. Otherwise, we cannot survive. I think today, the world needs to make transformation.
And reindustrialization.
Yes. And the reindustrialization has been the hot topic. What can we do? I think most people realize that all the factory closure in North America has hurt the blue collar. And North America, also Europe, had lost a lot of skill sets in terms of industrialization. The thing is, reindustrialization, it's hard. Today, AI is going to help, but AI cannot do welding, cannot do pipe fitting. Maybe one day, 30, 40 years, 50 years later, you can have a robot to do this kind of thing. Today, build a plant in Taiwan, it's 1. Our plant in Arizona is 6 times. And we can't even find the welders and pipe fitter in Arizona. So it's a big challenge. The transformation is very hard.
Yeah, we see this in Canada as well. We're working on a number of fronts. We are a softwood lumber country, a big part of our economy. We have much to learn from your own experience in your own company, because you really went to a number of fronts, semiconductors and biosciences, and been impressed by what you've been doing with the water. I mean, how you can reuse the same water.
Yeah, I think our chemical, rubbing alcohol, we make a highly pure product supplied to nanometer, even the 1.6 nanometer in the pilot plant of TSMC. It's used in washing chip, and the used IPA actually only has 10% IPA and 90% water, as well as a lot of junk. All the photoresist is washed out. And we've been very fortunate through innovation, through R&D, we've been able to take that 10% IPA littered with junk and recycle and remake it into a pure electronic grade IPA. We're very, very proud. Last year, we won the Green Technology Award, Supplier Award from TSMC. It's one of the proudest moments in my life because we're the first one in this world to be able to recycle semiconductor grade chemical in the closed loop. We recycle the IPA. We even recycle the water. It's very relevant in a desert location such as Arizona.
Can you talk to us a bit about your bioscience business that has become, so significant at LCY, and specifically focusing on fermented carotenoids portfolio?
Yes. We are extremely proud that we actually, as of yesterday, about a month and a half ago, we got approval from FDA to make a carotenoid called astaxanthin. Astaxanthin has, before our fermenter process, has two routes. One is synthetic. You make it from chemical, which is very cheap, but not good for your body. And the other one is from algae, very expensive and very low purity. And through fermentation, our engineers and our scientists has been able to purify it, to ferment it and purify it at the same cost as the synthetic ones. And we are extremely proud. And the astaxanthin is you can check ChatGPT, it's the most powerful antioxidant in the world. So we're very excited. This is only the dawn of our biotech investment. And we look forward to make more product like these. Not in pharma, but it's sort of nutraceutical product. At the same time, we are now looking into the picks and shovels of the pharma business, such as reagent, such as polymers, and these are all very important for the pharmaceutical industry.
Vitamin A? Your vitamin A?
Vitamin A, yes. Vitamin A, well, again, it's another fermented product. It's extremely proud to say that, again, we could be as competitive as synthetic vitamin A. And it's all natural. That's the whole point. Today, people will not pay extra for all natural green product. You have to be just as as competitive, and at the same time, better for you. So these are the products we're extremely proud of.
Yeah, great contribution to resilience and health security.
Thank you.
That's pretty impressive. Listen, how do you see scaling opportunity in North America for US and Canada?
I think given that the reality of new globalization, of fragmented globalization, North America especially provides a fantastic environment for further investment. We intend to come to North America and invest more for various reasons. I think 3 or 4 years ago, I was a speaker at Select USA, the big FDI conference hosted by the U.S. Commerce Department. I think North America has a great environment for investment. The infrastructure is good, the human capital is good, and most importantly, the political stability of North America. So it's extremely important. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've been focusing on doing more investing in North America.
Think Canada.
Canada is definitely, it's a better North America. 51st state is better.
No, that's not what we mean.
No, I mean, I'm joking, of course. I'm joking, of course.
No, Canada is a pretty stable and pretty productive country. You're welcome here. You're welcome. We're happy to have you in Sarnia, and happy that you consider our country for some of your expansion. Listen, time flies, and I wouldn't want to let you go without hearing what you think that the government of Canada and across North America, what can we do together with your company? Give us some takeaway message for our policymakers who are looking for all kinds of, moving forward our country. So some key takeaway message for our policymakers and for our industry leaders.
I think first of all, I said the North America has the best investment environment and also has the best market. However, there's several shortcomings, if I may. First of all, is regulation. I think North America is still heavily regulated. And I'm not saying the regulations are bad. All the regulations are there because of past bad experience. There are some bad actors, so you have to put in regulation. And many of these regulations were implemented 30, 40, even 50 years ago based on some accident or some bad actors. But today, technology has moved on. The world has moved on. Some of these regulations are very outdated. I would suggest the government should look at a zero-based regulation, just like the old idea, zero-based budget. Every year, January 1, you take all the regulation out. You only pick the one that are relevant. Why not? It makes sense, right? Why do you have so many regulations? I was joking, I heard someone joking that in EU, even the size of pizza is heavily regulated. Do we need that? Just because some merchant advertised pizza for 1 cent per pizza and they cheated on the size, so you have to regulate that? No, that's not necessary. I think regulation reform is absolutely necessary. And number two, I think it's a human capital development. This is absolutely key. Today, AI is going to save the world, but AI, the last time I heard, I have 2 daughters who are AI PhD, one from Stanford, one from Princeton. They told me humanoid AI to be a welder and pipe fitter and concrete pourer are decades away. So we need to train the proper pipe fitters, proper welders. People can help us build the factory. Reindustrialization, it is not going to come overnight. There's a reason why Arizona costs 6 times as Taiwan. Taiwan, we can build a plant 24 hours. So second thing is human capital development. And third is very judicial subsidy. I think subsidy is a dirty word. If you start to subsidize people, long-term, people become lazy, and you lost efficiency. But in the short term, still very important because we're in the transition, we're in the transformation. Maybe short term, some sort of subsidy will be important.
And the value of transformation is very key, and the partnerships that they'll see why. What would be your takeaway for industry leaders in this environment?
I think today we have to follow our customer, and we have to have sort of twin supply chain. One is called domestic supply chain. One is the global supply chain. And if you are in China, you may have to have 3 supply chains. One for China, one for your domestic market and the other one for global market. So I see it's more complicated. The world is more complicated. Globalization was a wonderful idea, has done great things, but the world has moved on, has changed.
And there's a lot more politics in this era than there used to be.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Bowei, thank you very much for your enlightening remarks today. It's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.